Hello and welcome to this channel. Let's talk about B2 level and let's just dive into the lessons. Unit 1. Now let's dive into this conversation. Teresa starts. Allow me to introduce myself. What a beautiful expression. When you're in a kind of business atmosphere or any kind of formal atmosphere, as a kind of opening conversation, you can always say, allow me to introduce myself. This is super polite, super official, and you can also use that. I am Teresa Segovia from the Santiago office, okay, from that branch. Sawadee. I think there is a kind of greeting in Thailand, in Thai language. Surah says, what? Where did you learn that? I mean, it's a kind of surprising thing because both of these characters are talking in English, and then all of a sudden somebody talks to you in your mother language. In that case, you go crazy maybe. You're Chilean, aren't you? So it means that you're from Chile, but you can also speak Thailand language or Thai language. Teresa says, yes, I am. Of course, I am Chilean, but I have a friend in Chile from Thailand, which means that my friend who is from Thailand taught me some Thai language in Chile. Understand? Surat continues, well, Sawadee Karap, which means that maybe, for example, hi, how are you? Something like that. Nice to meet you, Ms. Segovia. The question here is why Ms. like MS? In English, we have three types of situations. If the woman is single, that is Miss. If the woman is married, that is Mrs. If we don't know, that is Ms. Like as this one. I am Surat Likpai. So my name is Surat Likpai, of course. No need to be so formal. It means that you don't have to be so formal. You don't have to. Please call me Terry. Beautiful expression. Beautiful expression. Please call me Meysam. You don't have to say teacher Meysam. You can call me Meysam. Please call me Terry. Why Terry here? Because Terry is easier than Teresa. Okay? That's why they call it like nickname. So if you have a nickname or if you don't have any nickname, try to make a shorter and easiest one. Surat says, and please call me Surat. So which means that I don't have any nickname, so that is okay to call me Surat. Teresa says, okay, Surat, do you mind my asking you a question about that though? So here Teresa has a kinda cultural question. This is really important. We're going to talk about that. So Teresa says, do you mind my question? Do you mind me asking a question? Or do you mind my asking a question? If you want to be polite, you can use this question. You can use this expression. Do you mind my asking you a question? It means that, is it possible? Is it okay to ask you a question about that though? About what? About this situation that they are talking about. Cultural situation. Though is a kind of grammatical point here, which means but. Of course, it's somehow. I am not going to talk about grammar today. Surat says, not at all. Of course not. You can ask any type of question. Teresa says, is it customary in Thailand for people to be on a first name basis? Customary is something which is normal, which is so okay in the society. There is no problem with that. Nobody would misunderstand you if you do so, if you say so. In that case, that specific behavior in the society is called customary. So, is it customary in Thailand? Is it okay in Thailand for people to be on a first name basis? So, basis means method, okay? On a first name basis means, do people use their first name when they interact with each other, when they talk to each other? Or do they use their, maybe, for example, last name? Or do they talk about their nickname? In that scenario, you have to just make your choice. Like, you have to be on a first name basis like Meysam, like that, or on a surname basis, you can use the surname, or on a nickname basis, which is basically in a kind of friendly atmosphere. If you have a kind of conversation between your friends, you can basically do that. Now Surat continues. Well, at company meetings in English, always. So if there's a kind of meeting, kind of business meeting, very formal meeting in English, always they are on a first name basis. But in other situations, in other circumstances, in other conditions, though, people tend to be a little more formal. Tend to means they want to, okay? If you tend to do something, it means that you have a kind of tendency to do something. You have a tendency to do something. You tend to do it, basically. A little bit more formal. So we can conclude that if there's a kind of conversation, if there's a kind of meeting, other than English, basically because we're talking about Thailand, if people talk in Thailand language, or the language of Thailand, they are always and always on a surname basis, which is so formal. Understand? It is so formal. It's probably best to watch what others do. Beautiful expression we're going to go through. You know what they say? When in Rome, do as Romans do. Beautiful proverb, Try to use these proverbs effectively. If you can use these proverbs and expressions effectively, you can boost your English knowledge. You can show off your English knowledge. Understand? So what does it mean? When in Rome, do as Romans do. It means that Rome here is a kind of example. Imagine you go to another country and you're totally new there, okay? So you don't know what to do, what not to do. You don't know how to behave, how to interact, okay? In that case, you have to observe people and see what those people are doing, how those people behave. Understand? You have to observe people. You have to just look at them so carefully and try to imitate. You have to see how those people are behaving in the society. In that case, you can use this proverb. When in Rome, do as Romans do. Now let's talk about a kind of small talk. What is a small talk? A small talk is a kind of conversation between two people who do not know each other. They are not friends. Random guy, okay? And you talk about very general stuff. Super general. Not specific, not personal. Imagine you're in a party. Imagine you're on a, let's say, metro or metro bus, and randomly you talk to a kind of stranger. You're not friends. You're not colleagues. You don't know each other very well. You don't know each other at all. In that case, the type of conversation that you're making together is called small talk. Synonym for small talk is chit chat, as you can tell. Now let's have this conversation. A starts. Good morning. Beautiful day, isn't it? Isn't it is a kind of tag question. What is tag question? Tag question is a kind of question that you are asking in order to get a kind of acceptance or affirmation or confirmation, let's say, from your friend. Okay? So because maybe you're not so sure of the situation, you're just articulating in any kind of sentence, and you're expecting your friend to confirm what you're saying. So you're looking in the sky and say, beautiful day, isn't it? So logically and culturally, okay, your friend should say, yes, it is, which means that, yeah, you're right, today is a very beautiful day. So this is called tag question. I am not going through this tag question because you have to know this grammar already. But very, very small point. If in this sentence, the question, the helping verb is positive, the tag question should be negative or vice versa. So look at that. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, beautiful day, isn't it? So it means that today is a beautiful day. Today is a beautiful day. This is positive. So the tag question is negative, isn't it? So isn't it is the negative form of is. It really is, of course, yeah. By the way, I am Kazuko Toshinaga. By the way is a kind of expression that if you want to just ask a quick question, because if you do not ask that question, if you do not change that topic, you're probably going to forget that topic. So very quickly, you're changing that topic. In that scenario, you have to say, by the way. So, by the way, I am Kazuko Toshinaga. So, they're basically getting to know each other. I am Jane Quet. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too. Or I am glad to meet you too. Or you can say likewise, me too. I mean the word likewise. Beautiful expression. Do you mind if I call you Kazuko? Amazing question. Beautiful question. You know, if you go to another country, you are not so sure of the culture. And if you kind of say something unintentionally, but you might offend the person of that country. In order to avoid such situations, you have to be so sure of what you're going to say. In that case, by asking question and getting the answer from your partner, from your friend, you're so relaxed that you're not making a mess. In that scenario, asking a question is a key. So here, do you mind if I call you Kazuko? Which means that, is it possible? Is it possible to call you Kazuko? So you're not so sure. Actually, Jane Quick was not so sure, so she's asking this question. And Kazuko says, absolutely not. Of course, you can ask. You can call me Kazuko. That's totally okay. So if somebody says, do you mind if I call you? Do you mind if I ask you something? As an answer, you can say, absolutely not. So fixed question, fixed answer. Please do. And please call me Jane, which means that if you call me Jane, that is enough. You don't have to be formal. Just call me Jane. That's totally enough, and that's totally okay. Now, ways to ask about proper address. Proper means suitable. Address means you're addressing someone. You're calling that person in a kind of systematic way. So let's dive into. Do you mind if I call you Kazuko? Very cliche. Do you mind if I call you Kazuko? Or would it be rude let me show all of these things first. Would it be rude to call you Kazuko? Rude means impolite. What would you like to be called? How do you prefer to be addressed? And do you use Ms. or Mrs.? If I were in your shoes, I would definitely memorize one or two of these expressions and I would keep saying them in order to use these expressions automatically. Understand what am I talking about? So probably you have to do the same. All of these questions are the same. It depends on you how to use them and try to find one which you're so comfortable with. In that case, you can easily go forward and ask your question. Let's go forward. Be careful to avoid making mistakes if you're abroad by asking questions, probably by asking these beautiful expressions, by using these beautiful expressions in order to be so polite. Another conversation. Listen up. Read and listen to someone describing a busy schedule. Schedule means timetable or plan. In American English, they call it schedule. In British English, they call it schedule. Okay, both of them are okay. A starts. So how was your day? It means that, can you talk about your day? Just tell me about your day. Unbelievably busy. What a beautiful expression. What a beautiful expression. Everybody knows that I'm a big fan of intensifiers. This unbelievably is a kind of very popular intensifier. I'm going to talk about that. So, unbelievably, of course, means extremely, okay? Surprisingly, extremely busy today. Why? Because by 9 o'clock, by 9 means around 9, I had already taken the placement test. Do you remember placement test? What is placement test? Specifically in English. If you want to start a kind of course in any kind of institute or language schools or courses, let's say, the language course, the language academy or institute or school, whatever, they try to understand your level. In that case, they have to measure what your level is. So they are giving a kind of examination, and you have to take that exam, specifically written examination and then spoken examination, and your overall score can explain what your level is. That is called placement test. Registered for class. Register means sign up or enroll in, okay? Which means that after being a kind of student in a kind of organization, school, university, institute, then you have to be formally a student of that organization. How? By paying money and taking the honey, taking the studentship. So that is called registering or registration for the class. And bought my books. Buy, bought, bought. So that is the past form of the word buy. A says, oh, that's a lot to do before 9 o'clock. 9 is so early. That was nothing. It means that, shut up and listen. I haven't told you anything yet. At 10 o'clock, I had to be across town for a meeting. I had to. Must, today, had to, past form of must. So, in the past, I had to be across town, which means that from this point of the town to that point of the town. If we talk about Istanbul as a kind of big city, we can say if you travel, if you commute from European side to Asian or Anatolian side or vice versa, in that case, you have to be across the Istanbul, you have to be across Istanbul for a meeting, for something, for a conference. Wow. And then I had to get back for the class at 1 o'clock. I had to. I must in the past. I had to get back, means come back, for a class at 1 o'clock. A says, what did you do about lunch? What did you do about lunch? What a beautiful question. And instead of saying, what did you eat for lunch? Native speakers say, what did you do about lunch? What did you eat for lunch? Well, when I got to class, I hadn't eaten yet. So past perfect, I hadn't eaten yet or eating yet. So I just got a snack. Got. Here means, buy and eat, basically. I got a snack. A snack is a light meal, small meal, not heavy, low in calorie, not basically high in calorie. Oh, you must be pretty hungry by now. You must be pretty hungry by now. It means that you must be very hungry because you did lots of things. You were so busy and you didn't eat lots of things. You didn't eat basically heavy food, so you must be very hungry. Now let's talk about intensifiers. What is intensifier? Or let's say, what are intensifiers? Where is it? Yes. Intensifier is a kind of word, generally an adverb, which intensifies. Intensifier means emphasizes and makes your adjectives, basically, or maybe sometimes nouns, generally adjectives, bigger and bigger. Magnify. They magnify your adjectives. For example, look at the first sentence. How was your day today? I mean, the person could have said, I was busy. Okay, yeah, cool. Everybody is busy, so that's not a big problem. I was very busy. I was unbelievably busy. It means that surprisingly, extremely, it intensifies the word busy. Busy is a kind of adjective. So it intensifies, it magnifies, it exaggerates the word busy. So there are lots of great, intensifiers, very popular ones. Everybody just uses them. For example, unbelievably, incredibly, extremely, really, so, pretty. Pretty is the most popular one, specifically in United States of America. So try to use intensifiers in your sentences to be able to show your feelings first, and second, to be able to show off your vocabulary range. Understand? You can use them interchangeably, but as you can tell, unbelievably has 3 plus. Pretty has only 1 plus. But generally, you can say pretty. How was the movie yesterday in the cinema? Oh, it was pretty good. But you can say it was unbelievably good or unbelievably bad. Okay? You can also use it for negative sentences as well. Let's go forward. Developing your cultural awareness. Amazing. Develop means improve. Cultural awareness means how aware you are culturally, or how culturally aware you are. What does it mean? You're a foreigner, you're a stranger, you travel to another country as a tourist or as a kind of person who wants to just live there. But first, you have to be aware of that culture of that country. Understand? In order to do so, you must know some vocabulary. Let's dive into them. Yeah, manners and etiquette. So first, let me show all of these blue boxes to you. Then I can easily try to teach all of these vocabulary. Now, manners and etiquette. Manner means your behavior. I mean, the way that you're behaving in the society. Okay, that is your manner. Etiquette, on the other hand, is kinda social, let's say, rules or regulations, generally unwritten rules in the society, that if you want to be a kind of civilized person, you need to obey these rules. That is called etiquette. Now, if you pay attention to these vocabulary, you can basically read all of them. I am not gonna read exactly the same thing, so I try to paraphrase them. Cultural literacy. It means that how literate you are culturally, or in other words, how well you know the culture of that specific country. This is called cultural literacy. Table manners means eating manners, eating behaviors, specifically at the restaurant or cafe. Imagine you go there. How do people eat? Some people use handkerchief. Some people use their hands to eat. Some people, I don't know, they have some specific regulations, they have some specific rules or behaviors. So you have to know these things. Next word is punctuality. Punctuality means how punctual you are. If you're a punctual person, it means that you pay attention to time. You're on time. You're not late. Or you hate to be late. In that case, you're a punctual person. Impolite. Impolite obviously means not polite or rude. Offensive or offensive, two pronunciations, means extremely impolite, extremely rude. Customary, we talked about it, something which is okay in the society. Taboo is the opposite of customary, which means something which is not acceptable in the society. People do not accept it in the society. So that is totally banned or prohibited. So try to pay attention to these words if you want to travel to another country to live or to just visit that country. So this is really important. So when in Rome, do as Romans do. You have to know all of these expressions. Unit 2. Read and listen to someone with a dental emergency during a trip. Dental emergency is a kind of serious situation that you have to take actions as soon as possible, or you have to take actions immediately. Losing time can make the problem getting worse and worse. During the trip, imagine that, as I said, you're traveling to another country and you're a tourist there and you have to deal with your dental problem. Let's dive into the conversation or photo story. Guest and clerk are talking. Guest says, I need to see a dentist as soon as possible. Which means that I have to see and visit a dentist immediately as soon as possible, or ASAP. Which means that I have to visit the dentist very quickly. I think it's an emergency. I think there is a serious problem. I have to deal with it or take the action. I was wondering if you might be able to recommend someone who speaks English. What a beautiful question. What a beautiful phrase. I was wondering. It means that I was wondering here means curious. I was curious enough to see whether you can help me or not. You can recommend means suggest somebody, some dentists to help me out. Clerk says, let me check, let me examine. Let me just, look at the basically addresses. Actually, there is one not far from here. Would you like me to make an appointment for you? It means that there is a kind of dentist who is very near, very close to us. Do you want me to make an appointment for you? Make an appointment means make a kind of rendezvous or reservation. Guest says, of course, if you could, please, thanks. I'm in a lot of pain. I'm in a lot of pain. You cannot imagine. I am so crazy. I am unbelievably angry right now. Please do so. Now, the patient goes to the dentist. Dentist says, so I hear you are from overseas. Overseas means from another country. You are a foreigner. I heard. Somebody told me, basically. Patient says, yeah, from Ecuador. Thanks for fitting me in. Ecuador is a kind of country. Thanks for fitting me in. Fit me in where? Fit my name actually inside your patients list. Understand? Imagine a doctor can visit, let's say, 50 patients in a day. Every day, secretary basically tries to write down the name of the patients inside the list. Sometimes some patients call and cancel their appointment. In that case, there's a kind of empty space, a vacancy. So what happens when you call? Normally, you can make an appointment. Basically, your appointment can be 2 weeks later, 1 month later. But if you're lucky enough, in that scenario, because there's a kind of empty space in that list in that day, what happens? They can fit your name in. They can fit your name inside the list. Dentist says, luckily means fortunately, I had a cancellation. Yeah, somebody called and canceled his or her, let's say, appointment. So what brings you in today? What brings you in today means why are you here? What is the point? What is the problem? Can you explain? Patient says, well, this tooth is killing me. Of course, it's a kind of figurative language, kind of exaggeration. The tooth or the teeth cannot kill you. It means I am in a lot of pain right now. You cannot imagine. Dentist says, when did it first begin to hurt? When did it happen first for the first time? It's been bothering me since last night. What a beautiful sentence. It's been bothering me. It means it has been bothering me. It has been putting me inside the difficult situation. Let's say it has begun since last night. Dentist says, let's have a look. Let me check it. Open wide. Open your mouth wide. Understand? Opposite of wide is narrow. Wide is basically really open. Patient says, opens. Dentist says, well, let's take an x-ray and see what's going on. Take an x-ray. Remember x-ray? X-ray is a kind of machine, x-ray machine, which can photograph, which can take a picture from our internal organs, specifically from our bones and teeth, this kind of stuff. X-ray. To see what's going on, what's happening. Now, let's talk about symptoms. What is symptom? Symptom is a sign of an illness. Imagine if you have a kind of headache, if you have a fever, if you have a running nose, running eyes, if you sneeze a lot. So these are different signs of having a flu or catching a cold, basically. Now, I feel dizzy, I feel nauseous, I feel weak, I feel short of breath. So symptoms are really important. Imagine you're a kind of tourist even, you go abroad. Unfortunately, God forbid, something happens to you and you have to go to and visit a doctor. The doctor says, okay, why are you here? What brings you in here? You have to be able to explain your problems. You have to say, for example, doctor, you know what? I feel dizziness. I feel nauseous. Nauseous means the situation that you want to vomit. I feel nauseous, kind of stomach problem. I feel weak. I don't know what to do, but I feel weak. I don't know. I mean, there's something going on. I feel short of breath, like that, panting. Short of breath. These are symptoms. Or you can say, I have been vomiting, or actually the short format. I have been vomiting, vomit, puking, or, throwing up. I've been coughing, sneezing, sneeze. And finally, I have been wheezing. So wheezing is a kind of situation, is a kind of noise, okay? Kind of sound or noise, basically, which comes from your nose. Why? Imagine you have a flu. Then your nose is blocked, so you cannot breathe. You cannot breathe normally, or you cannot breathe very well. In that case, whenever you breathe, your nose makes a kind of funny sound. That funny sound is wheeze, and the action is wheezing. Doctor, I have pain in my chest. I have pain in my hip. I have pain in my ribs. Ribs basically means the skeleton, okay, inside. And I have pain in my stomach. Obviously, you can express yourself. You can explain what your problem or problems are to the doctor. Now let's read this conversation. Read and listen to someone calling in sick. To call in sick means you telephone somebody, specifically your manager, your teacher, your supervisor, and say that you're so sorry because you cannot join the meeting, join the work, join the something. Why? Because you're ill. This process is called to call in sick. A starts. I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to come in today. I'm afraid means I'm sorry. I am afraid of somebody, or I am afraid of something is different scenario. It means that that person or that thing intimidates me. It scares me, okay? But if you say I'm afraid, it means that I'm sorry. I am not going to be able to come in today. I cannot because I am ill. B says, oh, I am sorry to hear that. Very cliche expression. I am sorry to hear that. You can use this expression specifically in negative situations. Is something wrong? What is the problem? Is something wrong? What is the point? Actually, I'm not feeling too well. I'm ill. I've been coughing and wheezing, for a couple of days. What a beautiful expression. What a beautiful sentence. For a couple of days. A couple normally means two. Couple of days means 2 or more days, for a few days or several days. And instead of saying, for example, last year I went to Paris and I stayed in Paris for a few days, which is okay. You can say I visited and stayed in Paris for a couple of days. For a couple of days. This is better English. So, I've been coughing and wheezing for a couple of days, so obviously I'm ill. Oh, that must be awful. That must be terrible. Awful means terrible. Maybe you should see a doctor. Perhaps you need to visit a doctor. I think I will. Of course, I will visit a doctor. Good. Call me tomorrow and let me know how you feel, okay? It means that sleep, rest. Tomorrow, when you wake up, just call me. The first thing that you have to do is calling me and telling me how you feel. Understand? Okay, next. Medical procedures. Pay attention to pronunciation. It is not procedure. Procedure. Procedures. Procedure means the process. Level by level. Stage 1, stage 2, 3, 4, 5. Imagine you want to go from point A to point B, but there are different stages, different levels. If you accomplish doing all of these activities, and eventually if you reach that specific location or position, in that case you can say I have completed all of these procedures, okay? Like that. Now, you're in a hospital. The doctor tries to see what's going on. He or she says you have to, go through these medical procedures. These are the most popular ones. So a checkup or an examination is very general. They try to examine your whole body. A shot or an injection, both of them are the same. A shot is basically informal. Injection is a kind of medical verb or word. A shot has different meanings as well. Number one, if you take a picture, each picture is called a shot. Imagine you took 10 pictures. You can say, I took 10 shots. Okay? Next one is this, as you can tell, injection, for example, COVID-19 shot. Finally, for alcohol, if you try to drink alcohol, each small portion is called a shot. So 1 shot, 2 shot, 3 shot, then you fly. This is called a shot. Next one is an EKG or electrocardiogram. If there's a word which is so long or very strange to pronounce, you think that it is so difficult to pronounce the word, in that case, chop the word into pieces and try to practice electrocardiogram. By practicing, you can definitely beat that. So an electrocardiogram, as you can tell, is a kind of machine. They try to attach those things on your body in order to basically measure your heartbeat and this kind of stuff to make sure that whether your heart is working properly. X-ray, as you can tell, internal organ. This is a kind of machine which can take pictures or photographs from our internal organs, specifically from our skeleton and bones. And blood test. Basically, they remove some blood in order to go through some test on your blood to make sure whether you have some problems or chronic disease or something like that. So these are the most important and popular ones. Now, another conversation. Making an appointment. A. Hello, Dr. Starr's office. Can I help you? It's the kind of secretary who picks up the telephone and tries to help B says, hello, I need to make an appointment. I need to make a kind of rendezvous or reservation for a blood test. I need to have a kind of blood test. I wonder if I might be able to come in early next week. What a beautiful question. I wonder means I am curious to know, or I want to know whether is it possible for you to take me as a patient early next week. Is it possible? Can I come next week? Let's see if I can fit you in. If I mean, as I mentioned, there are some cancellations so that they can fit your name in. How about Tuesday? Can you come on Tuesday? B says, could I come in the morning? Let me check. Would you be able to be here at 10 o'clock? Can you come in at 10 o'clock? That would be perfect. That would be awesome. Yeah, 10 o'clock perfectly fits. We'll see you then. Thanks. I really appreciate it. Appreciate means to be thankful. I really appreciate it is a kind of expression, okay? Try to memorize. It is not I am appreciate. No, I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Memorize this whole expression. Memorize it. Memorize it. It decorates, it beautifies your English. It means that I am so thankful and grateful for your help, for what you did. Medications. Medication is a huge, a wide category, broad category in which you can put different types of medicines inside it. Why? Because we have lots of different types of medicines. For example, we have pills, we have tablet, we have spray, we have syrup, we have injection, lots of things. So let's go through this. A painkiller, obviously, it kills the pain. Cold tablets, when you have flu or when you have cold, you can use it. Nasal spray, as I mentioned, if your nose is blocked and you cannot breathe very well or normally, you need to decongest it. So decongestant is a kind of adjective, is a kind of something which decongests your nose. Decongest means unblock it. Because your nose is blocked, now it unblocks it. Nasal spray, as I mentioned, or decongestant. Next one, eye drop. Our eyes need to move. In order to move, our eyes need to be wet. Sometimes because we overuse the screens like laptop or telephone or television, so our eyes get dried. What happens? We have to use some eye drops to make the eye wet again in order to move properly. An antihistamine. An antihistamine is a kind of medicine if you are allergic to something or if you have allergy to something. It blocks it, it stops it. Cough medicine. Cough medicine, it eliminates it. Antibiotic or antibiotic, like British. Antibiotic is basically bacterial illnesses or disease we have. So anti means against. These medicines can fight against those bacterial illnesses. Antacid, our stomach needs to, produces some acid, okay? Sometimes the level of acid just goes up or goes down. So we need antacid in order to regulate or balance that acid or acidic level. Ointment. Ointment is basically kind of remedy, kind of cream that you rub on the surface, on the skin. Why? Maybe you burnt your skin. For example, you're cooking something, then somebody calls you, you try to just pick that telephone up, then you burn your hand, your finger. Or you go to Antalya in order to have kind of vacation and then you're sunburned. In that scenario, you have to use an ointment in order to avoid those problems. Next one is vitamin or vitamin as British. Vitamin A, B, C, D, E, F. G-H-I-J-K. So we need all of those vitamins in order to have kind of stronger and faster body. Now let's talk about the label. As you can tell, there is a kind of medicine, and the medicine has a label. Label means the information which is attached on the medicine. Actually, in the label, we have some information. For example, dosage, how much of this medicine I have to take, I have to use. Warnings means be careful. If you use this medicine, of course, your problem would go away, but there might be some minor problems. Those minor problems are warnings, as well as you can call them side effects. Side effects are those effects of the medicine, small minor effects which are not that much serious. Next one is prescription. If you go and visit a doctor, the doctor examines you, and then he or she basically tries to write down the name of the medicines. That action is prescribing, and the paper that the doctor writes the names of the medicines is called prescription. So the doctor prescribes medicines on a prescription. Unit 3. Let me talk about this photo story. Manager and customer. Manager says, "What can I do for you today, Ms. Caros? What can I do for you? How can I help you? Why are you here? What do you want me to do for you?" Customer 1, Ms. Caros says, "I need to get these documents copied ASAP. Think I could get 300 copies done by 11 o'clock? I need to get these documents copied. I want you, please, to copy these documents ASAP. Means as soon as possible, or right away, or immediately. I'm afraid that might be difficult. Do you remember? I'm afraid means I'm sorry. I don't think that I can do it. That is difficult because I've got a lot of orders to complete this morning. Means I am super busy today. Oh, sorry. I know this is last minute. My favorite, last minute. Last minute student, last minute teacher, last minute person. Eat, drink, sleep, party. Oh, tomorrow there's an examination. Oh my God. Just drinking some coffee, try to stay awake. That is super terrible thing to be done. I know this is last minute. I know this is without any warning. This is without any asking, for example. But it's really urgent. Urgent means immediate. I need it. I have to deal with it as soon as possible. This is urgent. I cannot lose any time. Manager says, "Well, you're a good customer." Customer, client, synonym. Let me see what I can do. Let me see means I am not promising. I don't want to promise, but I'll do my best to complete your task. Customer 1 continues, "Thanks a million. You're a lifesaver." Thanks a million is another beautiful expression, a beautiful version of saying thank you. Okay? Thanks a million, thanks a billion, thanks a gazillion. You can decorate your sentences. You're a lifesaver. You're a lifesaver means you saved my life. Obviously, it means that I am so thankful or grateful to you. Now, manager, somebody calls, "Excuse me, hello, happy copy." Customer 2 says, "Hi Sam, Ken Lee here." Ken Lee is talking to you. Manager says, "Hi Mr. Lee, how can I help you today?" How can I help? "Well, I am going through my to-do list and I just realized I need to get 50 30-page sales binders made up for our meeting next week." What a beautiful and long sentence. So customer 2 says, "Well, I am going through my to-do list." Do you remember to-do list? To-do list is a kind of basically piece of paper that you're writing down. the name of the tasks, task 1, 2, 3, 4, whatnot, and based on your priority, you're trying to write those tasks, and tomorrow when you're trying to look at your to-do list, you need to do and complete those tasks or activities. This is called to-do list. Go through means to read something very carefully, okay, from top to bottom. Imagine you're sending your CV to for example, a company. The manager tries to read your CV super carefully. That is called to go through your CV. Let's say the manager goes through your CV or resume very carefully. The same scenario happens here. I just realized. Realized means notice. I found out that I need to get 50 30-page sales binders. So 50 sales binders. This is called a sales binder. You can see it in the picture. These are sales binders. So I need 50 sales binders, and in every sales binders there must be 30 pages. So altogether, how many pages? 1,500 or 1,500 pages. Made up for our meeting next week. Made up means get ready. I mean, they have to be printed. They have to be basically punched. I don't know, just be arranged, and then get ready for our meeting next week. Any chance I could get them done by first thing tomorrow morning? Means, is there any chance? Means, can you? Do you think that you can print, copy, and finish all of these tasks and complete all of these tasks tomorrow? First thing tomorrow. First thing means first action, first activity tomorrow. Can you do that? Manager says, tomorrow morning, no sweat. No sweat means easy peasy. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. That's a very easy task. No sweat. That is totally okay. Very easy thing. Can you get the documents to me before noon? Please get the documents. Give those documents to me before noon so I can start completing your request. Absolutely. I owe you one, Sam. I owe you one means you helped me today. One day comes and I will help you. Because you helped me today, your score is 1, I am 0 or 0. So, which means that I owe you one task, one help, one kindness, one favor. When the time comes, I'll help you so we can be draw. Okay, 1-1, draw. In other words, I owe you one means thank you so very much. Thanks a billion. Another beautiful expression. Now manager says, sorry to keep you waiting, Ms. Carlos. In capitalism, we are like a tree. I always say, we are like a tree. We have to wait. Long queues. You have to improve your patience. You have to be super duper patient in every single task that you have to complete. This is the rule of big cities. So that, sorry to keep you waiting, Ms. Carlos. You have to wait because I was talking on the telephone. Well, I see that you have got a lot on your plate today. What a beautiful expression. To have got a lot on one's plate. It means that to be super busy. Where is it? To be super busy. You have got a lot on your plate means you're so busy today. I won't keep you any longer. It means that I am not gonna kill your time and I'll leave you so that you can easily do whatever you want. Manager says, don't worry, Miss Carlos. We'll get your order done on time. Don't worry about it. We are trying to do and complete your order. Customer 1, as basically Ms. Carlos says, should I give you a call later? Give somebody a call. It's basically a kind of American expression. the word give doesn't have any specific meaning, but maybe kind of decoration. Give somebody a call. Give someone a ride. Give a listen to something, basically. So the word give is just basically kind of decoration, maybe. Should I give you a call later it means that should I call you to remind you? No need for that. Come at 11 o'clock and I'll have your documents ready. Customer one says, thanks, Sam. Thank you so very much. Some ways to help out another person. All of these expressions that we're going to talk about right now, or generally, phrasal verbs, are different forms of helping someone. Let's dive into. Give someone a ride. Imagine you have a car. You take your friend, your partner, your colleague from this location to that location with your car. In that scenario, you can say, I want to give my colleague a ride. Next one, keep an eye on something or someone. It means that you're observing, you're looking after somebody, or you're looking at something very carefully in order to protect it, in order to just make sure that there won't be any problem happening to that person or to that specific object. Next one, lend someone something. Lend someone something. For example, you're lending somebody, let's say a friend, your book, your pen, your money, generally. Fill in for someone. Somebody somewhere is not okay, is ill, is out of the city, out of the town, or has some specific things to do, so that person is not available. You need to fill in for that person. Imagine your colleague calls you and says, Meysam, I cannot join, I cannot come to the company, so can you fill in for me? It means that, can you do my job as well? I say, okay, why not? I have to, because the day comes that I am not going to be available, so that that person can fill in for me as well. Pick up something or pick up someone. Generally, pick up something means to basically pick something and raise it. Because this is a kind of phrasal verb, phrasal verbs have different meanings. So pick up something means to buy something. Imagine you go to a basically supermarket, you pick some chocolate, some candy, some cracker all together, and then you pay and just go out. This is picking up something very quickly, to buy something very quickly without any plan. Pick up someone, it doesn't mean that you're picking somebody up. No, it means you have a car, generally, you go to that specific location and you take that person. Maybe imagine you have a kid. Every morning, you drop off your kid at the school, you go to work, then in the evening, you go to the school and you pick up your kid, and all together, you can go back to your home. So pick up somebody is opposite of drop off somebody. Understand? Let's read this conversation. Asking for a favor. Favor means kindness, a kind of help. A says, Martin, I wonder if you could do me a favor. Very, very beautiful expression. Do someone a favor means to help, because that person is in need, or needy person. He or she, I don't want to say begs you to help, but that person is really in need of your help. I wonder, I'm curious to know if you could help me. Sure, what do you need? How can I help you? My car is at repair shop and I need to pick it up at 3 o'clock. Repair shop means mechanics. Do you think you could give me a ride with your car? Do you remember? Do you think that you could give me a ride to the mechanics, to the basically repair shop? I would, but I have a doctor's appointment at 2 o'clock. So obviously I cannot help you with that. Oh, that's okay. I understand. No problem. You're dead. You're dead. Maybe you could get Jack to take you. Maybe you could get Jack to take you. It means that you can ask Jack to help you out. Oh, good idea. Thank you for the idea. Now, ways to indicate acceptance. Indicate means show. Acceptance means you accept that the person who you are asking for his or her help is not able to help you because of different reasons. So how can you show that you understand? You can say, simply, no problem, I understand, that's okay, that's fine, it's okay, don't worry about it. So these are different ways to show your acceptance. All right. Request, express, service. Request means to ask. Okay. Ask politely. Express service. Express has different meanings. Here, express service means fast service, which means that you pay extra money, you get your thing, your job, your request done quickly, much more quicker. For example, dry clean a suit, or have a suit, for example, like this. So you go and dry clean it by paying extra money because you don't want to wait for longer days. You want your suit to be washed, to be dry cleaned, obviously, very quickly. You don't want to wait, so you have to pay extra money. This is the rule of capitalism, Repair shoes, obviously. You're fixing your shoes. Frame a picture, you put the picture or photograph inside the frame. You're creating that frame, let's say. Deliver a package, any kind of package, to take the package from this, or cargo from this to that location. Lengthen or shorten a skirt. Lengthen means to make the skirt look longer, bigger. Shorten, obviously, make it to look smaller or shorter. Print a sign. Obviously, you print that sign on a specific surface. I don't know. Maybe the shirt, maybe the book, the picture, the paper, whatnot. Copy a report. Obviously, report. Every single day, your manager needs report of the day. So you have to copy that report and send it to your manager. These are requesting express service. Now, another conversation. Again, about requesting express services. Do you think I could get this jacket dry cleaned by tomorrow? Means, is it possible for you to dry clean this jacket by tomorrow? Maximum. Tomorrow? Oh, that might be difficult. I cannot do that because I have got a lot on my plate today and also tomorrow. I can't. I'm sorry, but it's pretty urgent. It is pretty urgent. I have to have this jacket dry cleaned as soon as possible. Why? Because my friend is getting married this weekend. I have to complete this task as soon as possible. Well, I'll see what I can do. Very cliche. Which means that I'll try to do my best. I'm not promising, but I'll do my best. But it won't be ready until after 4. Until after 4. It means that don't come here before 4 o'clock. Obviously 4 p.m. Come after 4 p.m. I am not promising you to finish this task before 4 o'clock. Come after 4. I really appreciate it. Thanks. The same scenario. I am so grateful or thankful. Thank you so much for this. Planning a meeting or social event. Imagine you are a person who has to organize a kind of meeting or social event, any kind of event, from small to big. There isn't any big difference. Maybe there is, but the procedure is the same. For example, you're organizing a kind of birthday party, wedding parties, festivals, this, that. So what is the procedure? What should you do? Generally, you have to go through these tasks or these activities. For example, Make a list of attendees. You have to know how many people are going to join, attendees, how many people are going to attend to your basically event. Next one, pick a date, time, and place. Pick means choose. Choose a date, time, and place, the location. Make a budget. It means that the amount of money that you have to spend, you have to just pay in order to organize the whole event successfully. Assign responsibilities. Means you divide the responsibilities and give the responsibilities to different people, more people, so that the organization can be done very fast. Plan an agenda. In your agenda, you are basically writing down the names of those activities which are going to be done, which are going to happen actually inside the event. For instance, there's a kind of birthday party. At 8 p.m., you're going to welcome the guests. At 9 p.m., let's say you're going to drink some tea or coffee. 10 p.m., 11 p.m. So you're going to write down the activities inside the event. This is called planning an agenda. Send out an announcement. You have to invite the guests. Your guests don't know that there will be a kind of event. So generally, you'll have to send out the announcement to the people. Okay, you're basically inviting them to your event through social media, through basically invitation cards, brochures, posters, I don't know, different ways. Arrange catering means you have to organize a kind of restaurant to cook, to prepare big amount of food for so many people. Imagine you have 500 guests. Can you cook alone? Not possible, obviously. So you have to arrange the catering so that the catering, companies, specific companies who are dealing with these, the food and these stuff, can come in and help you, and you can easily run your event. Set up the room or room, hall, atmosphere, the place. It means that you're decorating, you're cleaning up, you're decorating, you're arranging the chairs, you're arranging the desks or whatnot, and you're making the place ready for the customers, for the guests to come and enjoy. Okay? Understood? Unit 4. Let's talk about books. Different types of books. We have fiction and non-fiction. Fiction means based on your imagination. Based on the writer's imagination, which means that those pieces, those works are not real. They are based on imagination. Non-fiction means non-imaginative books. In other words, they are real. They are based on true story. First of all, people read for pleasure, right? We read for pleasure. Fiction, non-fiction. So first one, let's talk about the fiction category. We have a novel, long story, mystery, full of questions, lots of puzzles. A thriller is a kind of horror story which gives you the feeling of like this kind of surprise, intimidating surprise. Next one is romance novel, a kind of love story, a kind of novel based on love. Science fiction is a kind of story based on science and fiction, obviously. And short stories, so they are the stories which are short. Now, non-fiction, we talk about biography, the life of the writer or the famous person, obviously. Autobiography is a life story of the writer who writes about himself or herself with his or her own writing style. So you write about yourself. You're a writer, you write about yourself. This is called autobiography. Travel book. Long time ago, There wasn't any kind of vlogger or blogger or whatnot. So photographers used to go and travel around the globe, and they used to take pictures and photographs, and under each picture, under each photograph, they would write some, I mean, basically short stories, short kind of writing, talking about the atmosphere, talking about the area, and you could understand the feeling of the photographer as a kind of artist. This is called travel book. Next one is memoir. Imagine you are a kind of retired teacher, retired engineer, retired artist, or whatnot. Okay, now you're not working, but you're full of experience. You want to share your experience with the new generation, with the new managers, with the new engineers, with the new teachers. So you're writing down those techniques, tips, and tricks of your own sector for the new generation. Understand? For the new teachers, for the new managers, for the new engineers, this kind of stuff. Finally, we have a self-help book. You read this book to improve yourself. Generally, psychologically, you're a demotivated person. You read that book, that kind of book, and now you gain strength, you gain hope, you have hope, and you're so hopeful about your future. So you start over. You start your life over. This is called a self-help book. Now let's talk about different ways to describe a book. Now imagine that you recommend a book to someone. Why you're recommending that book? What is the reason? Now you can use these adjectives, these expressions, in order to show your level of English and in order to explain what you want to do, what you want to say. Now, this book is a page turner. Why? Because it is so exciting and interesting, so you want to just turn the pages to see what happens next. Synonym for that is a cliffhanger. Cliffhanger is a kind of expression which means that very exciting, very interesting, so you cannot hold yourself. You want to know what happens next. Synonym. Bestseller. What is bestseller? Is a kind of book which a lot of people, so many people buy that book because that's a kind of successful book. So people want to just read that for any reasons. Next one is fast read. Generally, children's book or children's short stories are fast read because there are big fonts and small writings, as well as, lots of pictures, so you can easily read and finish them out and very fast, quickly. Hard to follow is opposite. It is so difficult to read because you cannot understand it. You cannot communicate with the writer, with the information inside the book. So that is called hard to follow. It's a kind of book which is so boring and so difficult, specifically university course books. As well as a trash. Trash here means poor quality, terrible quality of a book. Now let me talk about this conversation. Lynn and Sophie. Lynn starts. Hey Sophie, I've never run into you here before. Run into someone means to meet somebody unexpectedly or accidentally without any plan. Okay? These two people didn't have any plan, but they met each other accidentally in a bookstore. That's why Lynn says, I have never run into you. I have never see you in this bookstore before. What a coincidence. Sophie says, Lynn, good to see you here. You know, this is the way that native speakers say in order to greet with each other. They do not say, hi, how are you? I am fine, and you? They do not usually say that. They say, hey, good to see you. Oh, good to see you too. Finish. So sometimes if you want to learn the language of that country, in my opinion, try to learn the culture. So I think the culture of that specific country is a shortcut to learn the language of that country. So from now on, instead of saying, hi, how are you? I am fine. And you just say, hey, good to see you. And the person might say, hey, good to see you too. Looking for anything special means, are you looking for? Are you searching? Are you searching anything special, anything specific? What are you looking for right now? No, I'm just browsing. Browsing means just looking around to see what's going on, to see if maybe I can find a kind of new book to buy, or what can I read, what can I buy, kind of stuff. How about you? Why are you here? Are you looking for something special? Sophie says, I'm just picking up some gardening magazines for my mom. Pick up, remember, to buy very quickly. What type of things? Gardening magazines. The magazine which is talking about, which is covering the material related to gardening. For example, how to plant a tree, how to look after, for example, the tree or the plants, the flower or whatnot, that type of stuff. For my mom, very important point is here. The word mom, the spelling with M-O-M is definitely American spelling. But if you are reading a book or something, and if you see that the word mom is spelled like M-U-M, that is definitely a British spelling. She can't get enough of them. I mean, to get enough of something means you cannot stop yourself. You enjoy that thing a lot. Okay, so she can't get enough of gardening magazines. It means that she enjoys reading lots of gardening magazines. She loves it. She is in favor of it. So, anything interesting? Is there something interesting? Lynn says, this book doesn't look bad. It looks good. It's a biography of Helen Keller. Helen Keller was a great woman. If you don't know her, just Google it. Helen Keller was a kind of symbolic writer, a kind of symbolic female writer who was the symbol of a very strong and successful woman. Definitely read. You're going to be amazed by her biography, her life, I mean. What about you? Are you reading anything good these days? What are you reading these days? Well, I have got a new mystery on my night table. This is called Night Table, as you can tell in the picture. A kind of mystery book on the night table, but, I can't seem to get into it. To get into something here means I cannot communicate with the writer. I cannot, how can I say, handle the book, which means that the book is not my cup of tea. It is not my favorite type of book. I guess mysteries just aren't my thing. They're not my favorite type of book, basically. Lynn says, I know what you mean. I can understand you. They put me to sleep. It means that when I open the book, 1, 2, 3, I start to sleep. Sophie says, well, you're a big reader. You're a professional reader because you read a lot. I wonder if you could recommend something for me. Can you recommend a book, a good book for me? Lynn continues and says, have you read the new John Grisham thriller? There's a thriller book of John Grisham. So if he says, no, I haven't. I didn't know he had a new book out. A book out to the market for the public. Available for the public. Well, I can't put it down. I cannot just let it go. I want to read it more and more. I cannot put it down. It is a real page turner, or it is a real cliffhanger. You can also use them interchangeably. Sophie continues and says, thanks for the tip. Thanks for this small but useful information. Do you think that I could borrow it when you are done with it? Means that when you finish reading the book, can I borrow it from you? Is it possible? Of course. If you can wait till the end of the week, I'd be happy to lend it to you. Till means until, no problem. Till, until. So if you can wait until the end of the week, I can finish reading the book so that I'd be happy to lend it to you. I'd be happy to is a very popular expression. Try to use it. Very polite expression. I'd be happy to means it is my pleasure to help you. It is my pleasure, for example, in this context, it is my pleasure to basically lend it to you. Lend. What is lend? When you give something to someone, but that person basically promises to give that thing, that item back to you. Okay, this is called lend. The opposite one is borrow. So I borrow something from you, but you lend something to me. Now let's talk about this conversation. Have you been reading anything interesting lately? What a beautiful question. I always say, in conversation, it is not always, you should not just think about answering the question, but sometimes you have to be able to ask proper questions. This is one of them, because conversation means question and answer. It is not always answer, it is not always question and answer. So you must, as a student, you must be able to ask proper questions. For example, have you been reading anything interesting lately these days? If I were in your shoes, I would definitely manipulate this question and change it and tweak it a little bit. For example, have you been watching anything interesting lately on Netflix? Have you been playing any good games on PlayStation? Have you been doing something interesting in your life? Or different tweaks. I mean, you have to understand what am I talking about. Actually, I'm reading a thriller called Don't Close Your Eyes. It's a kinda thriller. Actually means in fact. I'm reading a thriller, like that, called Don't Close Your Eyes. Oh, I have never heard of that one. Is it any good? Is that good? Is it worth reading? Or do you recommend it to me? Oh, I think it's great. It is amazing. It's a cliffhanger. Cliffhanger, page turner. How about you? I have just finished a Hemingway novel, The Old Man and the Sea. I have just finished it. I highly recommend it. I recommend the book because it is amazing. Highly means to a very great degree. Offer to lend something. How to offer to lend something. A and B. A. Is that the latest issue of Car magazine? Latest issue. Latest means new, the recent one. Issue means number. Imagine there's a kind of magazine. Every month, this magazine is being published. Okay? Printed out and published. So imagine today, the volume, the issue is number 1. Next month, number 2, 3, 4, 5. So latest issue means latest number of the magazine or newspaper. Yes, it is. It is the latest issue. Could you tell me where you bought it? Bought, because I cannot find it anywhere. At the newsstand across the street, but I think it is sold out. So, newsstand is a kind of stand which there are lots of newspapers inside it, so you basically rotate that stand to find your specific or your desired newspaper, but it is sold out. Sold out means finished. You cannot find it anymore. No extra issue or copy of that. Too bad. There is an article in there I'm dying to read. There is an article inside the magazine I am dying to read. What a beautiful expression, dying to read. Imagine on Netflix there is a kind of TV series I am dying to watch. There's a new game on PlayStation I am dying to play. There's a new, for example, food in that restaurant I am dying to eat. Bravo. So, and Yes, I forgot to talk about article. What is article? Article is a kind of writing, kind of academically and beautiful, writing style of. I mean, the writer has a beautiful writing style, and you're basically trying to read and enjoy and learn. I'd be happy to lend it to you when I am done with it. It means that please wait until I finish reading this magazine. When I am done with it, when I finish reading it, I'd be happy to lend it to you. Then you can read that article. Really? That would be great. Thanks. That would be awesome. Now, let's talk about describing your reading habits. How can you describe your reading habit? Every single person has got a kind of reading habit, and these are the most popular ones. Some people curl up with a book. As you can tell, to curl up with a book is a kind of comfortable position that you can have. Basically, imagine you're lying down in your bed, you're lying down on the couch, you're so comfortable, you don't have to be formal, you don't have to limit yourself. So this is called to curl up with a book. Read aloud to someone, basically to the kids. You read a story out loud so that the kids can enjoy that story. Listen to audiobooks. There are books, and there's a kind of storyteller or narrator. That narrator basically narrates or tells the story. You don't have to read, but listen. I generally do that specifically on Metrobus or on public transportation because it is not possible for me to read the book full of, very crowded, full of people. So the best option is to plug in your earphone or earpod, whatever. Then try to listen to the audiobook and enjoy. Do puzzles. As you can tell, there are some puzzles, and then you have to complete by finding the answers for each question. And then you're trying to do and complete the puzzle. Read articles online, on telephone, on laptop, or news, or any kind of thing that you want to know and you want to read. Skim through a newspaper. Skim. Scan, skim. You're skimming through the newspaper. Imagine that there's a kind of newspaper and you're basically reading the headlines or the most important part. Basically, you're in a kind of bold version, bold font, or you're trying to understand what is going on by just reading those few words. Later, you can read in depth or in detail. Read electronic books or read ebooks. Electronic books means ebooks, basically like PDF or EPUB or Kindle thing. So you're downloading some books on your Kindle, then you start to read your books. Unit 5. Let's talk about this conversation, which is related to natural disaster. So what is natural disaster? Natural disaster is a kind of incident, happening, okay, natural happening, which can damage a lot, which can cause lots of losses, lots of damages, properties and everything. But we have no control on, but we can basically try to avoid it. We can try to use that natural energy, okay, for ourselves. Now let's talk about that. Rachel and Tom are talking. Rachel starts, "Oh my goodness, take a look at this." Oh my goodness means oh my God. When you're so surprised, when you see something, when you hear something, and when you get surprised, you can use this expression. Oh my goodness. Take a look at this means have a look, take a look, or just look at that. Why? What's going on? What's happening? How come? Why means how come? Why? Rachel says, there is this enormous flood in Slovakia. Look at these people on the roof. The water is up to the second floor. And look at these cars. I sure hope there was no one in them. So Rachel is basically retelling the story of that news. What happens? There's a kind of enormous flood. Enormous means big. Another version of saying big or giant or huge. These are synonyms. Huge flood in Slovakia. Look at these people on the roof. Roof is the top, the highest place in the building. The water is up to the second floor. First floor, second floor. Can you imagine? There's a flood, I mean heavy rain. The water comes, goes up, rises, up. First floor, rises, second floor. Really huge, really big. And look at these cars. I sure hope there was no one in them. It means that undoubtedly, there is no doubt that there would be anyone inside them. And she tries to be kind of hopeful about the situation. Tom says, that sounds horrendous. Any word on casualties? Horrendous means terrible, awful. It sounds means it seems to be really awful, really horrendous, a good word. Any word on casualty. Word here means news or information. Any news on casualty. Casualty means those people who die inside the incident or accident or natural disaster or war or this kind of stuff. To die or to injure in those accidents. Rachel continues, it says no reports of deaths or injuries so far. No report. Nobody died. Nobody injured so far. So far means until now. Until now. But it's in the middle of the city, for goodness sake. The death toll could end up being huge. So obviously, because it happened inside the city, like in the city center, the death toll can end up being huge. Death toll means the total number of dead people inside the war, because of the natural disaster, anything. The result of that can surprise. End up means the result of something which is surprising. Can be surprisingly huge, big. Understand? It means that the total number of dead people after measuring, after counting the number of dead people would be surprisingly big, surprisingly huge. Tom says, and can you imagine the property damage? Property, anything that belongs to you is yours, is your property. Generally, your house, your land, your car, and obviously everything which belongs to you is your property. So property damage, any kind of damage which can cause by natural disaster on your property. Imagine you can lose your car. It can damage your car. It can damage your house. It can damage your room, your land. So this is called property damage. Well, they estimate almost 50% of the houses in town are underwater already. Estimate means predict, guess. They guess that almost, approximately, nearly 50% means half of the houses in town are underwater already. 50% of the houses are gone. Tom says, what a disaster. What a terrible condition. What a disaster. What a terrible condition or situation. I wonder how this flood compares to the one they had in New Orleans a few years back. Remember that? So I wonder again, means I am curious to know how this flood, today's flood, is compared, being compared to the flood which they had in New Orleans, which is basically another place, a few years back, a few years back. This is decorative language. A few years back. Remember that? Means, do you remember that or you forgot? You bet I do. Of course I do remember, because how can I just forget it? It is not easy. How could anyone forget? Because the flood was really huge in New Orleans. And We do not forget the bad memories, unfortunately. And that flooded almost half the city too. And just half of the city at that time was underwater already, basically. Rachel says, let's turn on CNN because they usually have breaking news about stuff like this. So turn on CNN, like turn on the television and watch CNN. What is CNN? CNN was the first 24/7 news channel broadcasting in the United States of America for the first time. 24/7 news channel in America. They usually have breaking news about stuff like this. Breaking news means important news, flash. Short but important news about stuff. Stuff means things. Stuff means things. About these things, generally. All right? Now, another conversation. Listen to someone conveying a message. Convey, a good word. Convey means to send or to communicate. Both of them can work here. Convey a message means to send a message. Or if you communicate with someone, you can send a message to that person. This is called to convey a message. A and B. A. I'm on the phone with your parents. Would you like to say hello? Very important. On the phone. Not at the phone, in the phone, with the phone. On the phone. This is grammar, okay? Grammatically, you have to say, I am on the phone, for example, with my friend, with my brother, with my parents. Would you like to say hello? Do you want to say hello? I would, of course, but I'm running late. Run late is American expression, which means to get or to become late. Anything you would like me to tell them? Is there any message that you want me to tell them, to tell your parents? Yes, please tell them to turn on the television or TV because there is a storm on the way. The storm is coming, or winter is coming, like Game of Thrones. Will do means I will convey this message to your parents. Okay? Now let's talk about severe weather and other natural disasters. Severe means very harsh, not friendly. Okay? Harsh weather, like you hate it, you don't want to continue because the weather disturbs you, discomforts you, inconveniences you. Okay? Anyway, first, tornado. As you can tell, you know what? I am not going to go through these words because there's an idiom in English. Do you know what it says? It says, a picture is worth 1,000 words, which means that you can show a picture to someone, you don't need to say anything. The picture talks. The picture explains everything, conveys the message. So, tornado, hurricane, or typhoon, very severe weather. Flood, the water goes up. Landslide, there are some small rocks which can come down from the top of the mountain. What is drought? Imagine there's a situation that there is no precipitation. Precipitation means no raining, no snowing, okay? No water coming down from the sky, no precipitation. And then what happens? We can see a kind of dry area. This situation is called a drought. Understand? Another conversation. A says, what's going on in the news today? What's going on? What is happening? Okay. In the news. So go on, phrasal verb, that is different. In is different. In the news today. Well, the Times says there was a terrible storm in the south. Times, in a capital letter, the T is in capital. Times is a proper name, is a kind of specific name. Times is the name of the newspaper. Very famous one in America. So the Times newspaper says there was a terrible storm, awful storm in the south. Really? Yeah. It says lots of houses were destroyed. So destroy means ruined, demolished, spoiled. These are synonyms for the word destroy. Lots of houses were destroyed and ruined. What a shame. So what a shame is different thing. I mean, based on different situation, you can use this expression. Here is a kind of sad story, kind of disappointing story. So what a shame means I am so sorry to hear that. I wish I didn't hear this news. Kinda expression. But there haven't been any deaths. There haven't been any deaths. No one died. A says, thanks goodness for that. I am happy for that. Okay, I am happy to hear that there is no dead person for that disaster. As I mentioned before, thank goodness means thank God, a kind of a positive vibe that you can tell, you can say it when you're so happy because of some good news, or let's say better news. Now let's describe natural disasters. How can we describe them? Okay. Adjectives of severity. Severity means how strong, how severe natural disaster is. Obviously, generally, we use this vocabulary for the earthquake. Maybe tsunami, but earthquake generally. But maybe, of course, you can use them for other natural disasters as well. First, mild. As you can tell, mild is okay, not a big problem. This is normal. Next one is moderate. Moderate is a little bit harsh. Again, there is not a big problem. It is a kind of warning. It means that be careful. Next one, severe, kind of serious and harsh. It can cause some damages, maybe some property damages. Next one is deadly. As you can tell, deadly. Generally, some people could die because of that severe earthquake. Okay. Finally, there's called catastrophic. Catastrophic is a kind of tragic scenario, tragic earthquake. Okay. Lots and lots of people would die, unfortunately. Prepare for an emergency or emergency preparations and supplies. Earthquake happened and there's a kind of serious situation. We have to get ready for the consequences, or we have to get ready for the earthquake. There are lots of vocabulary here. I'm not gonna go through all of these words. You can just pause the video and take a picture for yourself. But very quickly, first one, evacuate. Okay, you have to leave the area. Emergency means something that you have to deal with it as soon as possible without losing any time or any second. Power outage means there is no electricity. The whole city or town is totally black out, pitch black, zero light, zero electricity. That is called power outage. Power here means electricity or energy. Shelter is a safe place, safe area that you can get into to protect yourself, to feel safe. First aid kit. Kit means box. The box for the first aid. Aid means help. First help box, let's say. What does it mean? Before taking the patient to the hospital, before taking the injured person to the hospital, because the person might bleed, you have to stop bleeding. So you can use the elements inside this kit in order to help that person before taking the person to the hospital. Next one is flashlight, as you can tell. Flashlight, big one. You can use it when there is a power outage, when there is no electricity. Finally, non-perishable food. Okay, food. Perishable. Able means can. Something which can be perished. Perish means destroy, okay? Destroy, ruin. So non-perishable food. Those foods which cannot be destroyed maybe easily, or let's say those foods which can last longer. Okay? All of these things can be really good vocabulary for you in order to know them. Evacuate, to remove all people from one area that is too dangerous. Emergency, a very dangerous situation that requires immediate action. You should not waste any time. Power outage, an interruption in the flow, means movement. Flow of the electrical power over a large area. There is no electricity. Shelter, a safe place where people may go when the area they live in has been evacuated. The police or the government would say, okay, just evacuate the area. Do not stay inside the building. Just evacuate. First aid kit, a small box or package containing supplies to treat minor injuries. Minor is opposite of major. Major means big, minor is small. So small injuries and illnesses. As I said before, taking that person to the hospital. Non-perishable food, the food that doesn't need refrigeration, such as canned and dried food. Unit 6. Let's talk about this conversation. So Charlotte and Dr. Miller. Charlotte starts. Dr. Miller, I wonder if I could pick your brain. Pick someone's brain means to get that person's idea. Okay, that person's idea and suggestion. Career choice. Imagine you are in a high school and you want to pick a kind of university major. Why? Americans always say, we learn to earn. So we go to university to learn something in order to earn some money, which is really important. So our career is really important. That's why we have to choose it very wisely. Here, Charlotte is asking for help. She is trying to get ideas or suggestions from Dr. Miller because Dr. Miller had gone through this procedure. Dr. Miller says, sure, Charlotte, what's on your mind? What are you worried about? What are you thinking of? Okay. Charlotte says, well, I always thought I would go to the engineering school, but now I am not so sure anymore. So Charlotte doesn't know what to choose in university. Dr. Miller says, well, it's not so unusual for a person your age to change her mind. Change one's mind means change your decision, your idea. Dr. Miller continues, I must have changed mine 10 times before I settled on medicine. Really important sentence. To settle on means to finally choose or decide what to do. Now, Dr. Miller says, I must have changed. I must have, should have, could have, might have. There's a kind of situation in the past that you had the chance, you had the ability to do, but you didn't. So here, Dr. Miller had the ability, maybe, or maybe not, but probably maybe, but she didn't do it. I must have changed mine 10 times in the past. She must have changed it before settling on, before choosing her career, which is medicine. Have you decided on something else? Means, do you want to study something else other than engineering? Charlotte says, well, actually, I have developed an interest in the health field. Develop an interest in something means you start to like something. Imagine you go to a kind of seminar and you're listening to for example, biology, let's say. The seminar is about biology, the conference is about biology, and you start to like it. Start to like it, and then you can say, I am developing an interest in biology, which means that I am so curious to know more about biology, so I wanna continue studying biology, let's say. In health. So I have developed an interest in the health field. Field means area, area of study. And since you're a doctor, Dr. Melissa understood. Are you thinking of medicine? It means that, do you want to study medicine? Do you want to be a doctor in the future? Charlotte says, not specifically, not particularly. something related that doesn't take that long to study. You know, if you want to be a doctor, you have to spend at minimum 5 years, sometimes 7 years to be a doctor. It takes a lot of time. Charlotte doesn't want to study a lot. Charlotte wants something which is related or connected to medicine, but doesn't take that much time. Charlotte continues, I know there are some good options, good choices, but I am having trouble making up my mind. Make up one's mind means to choose, to decide. Understand? To decide. Having trouble means having problems. When you cannot do something properly, you're having trouble with that. Dr. Miller understood and said, well, have you given any thought to becoming a physical therapist? Beautiful question. Have you given any thought? Have you ever thought about? Give any thought means to think about. Have you ever thought about becoming a physical therapist? Physical therapy is a kind of field, you know that. The physical therapist is basically dealing with the movements of the patients. There are some patients who have difficulty moving their hand, their feet. They cannot move, they cannot walk. So physical therapists help them to have easier life. Understand? It's a great field. It's a great area of study or study area because you help people and there's always a job available. You're definitely going to find a job. Definitely. Because they need you. They need physical therapists. Charlotte says, physical therapy, huh? I should have thought of that. I'll keep that in mind. I should have thought of it means in the past, I had to think about it, but I didn't. Anyway, I'll keep that in mind. I'll try to remember it. Keep something in mind means to start to remember something, start to not forget something. Explain a change in life and work plans. How you change your life, how you change the plans of your life. There's a conversation. A and B. A start. So what are you doing these days? After a long year? Like after a long time? Like 20 years later, you see your friend and say, what? What are you doing here? Okay, it's a kind of surprise. And then you try to ask such question like, so what are you doing these days? What are you busy with these days? Well, I'm in dental school. Dental or dental, okay? Dental, British, dental, American. Dentistry, okay, is a kind of school which you are going to become a dentist. You have to study dentistry at the dentistry. So you're in a dental school. No kidding. Are you kidding? Really? I thought you had other plans. You had other options. Why dental school? That's right. I was going to be an artist, but I changed my mind. Yeah, long ago, I was thinking of being an artist. I wanted to be an artist, but I changed my mind. I changed my decision. A says, how come? How come means why? Why did you make such a big decision? Why? You wanted to be an artist, but now you want to be a dentist? Really? Why? How come? How come means why, okay? Specifically, if the person wants more details or explanation, he or she might say, how come? Well, it's hard to make a living as a painter. Hard to make a living. To make a living means to do something professionally to earn money in order to be able to survive in the society. Understand? To make a living. So if you go to America, they do not say, what's your job or what do you do? Maybe, what's your occupation? Generally, they say, what do you do for a living? You can say, for example, I'm an artist, I'm a teacher, I'm an engineer. I make a living through being an engineer, let's say. Reasons for changing plans. Why do people generally change their plans? Because of different reasons. These are different reasons. Number one. So, I wanted to be a rock star when I was a teenager, but then my tastes changed. Taste means interest or your feelings, okay? You have some feelings towards doing something, okay? That is your taste. Taste of music, taste of movie, taste of games, taste of jobs, different tastes in your life. Another person says, I was going to be an artist, but it's hard to make a living as an artist. What a beautiful sentence. We have just talked about it. I thought I would be a lawyer, but I didn't pass the exam, or I couldn't pass the exam. University entrance exam. Remember? I couldn't pass the examination, so I failed, so I couldn't be a lawyer. I wanted to become a firefighter, but my family talked me out of it. To talk somebody out of something or out of doing something. It means that when you demotivate somebody from doing something, you are basically talking that person out of doing that thing. Opposite version is talk someone into doing something. If you motivate, if you persuade someone to do something, you push that person, okay? This is talk someone into. So, he wanted to be a firefighter, but his family couldn't digest this. So they said, no, you cannot. Being a firefighter is dangerous, blah, 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 da, 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 da. So you cannot be a firefighter. So be careful. This is to talk someone out of doing something. Finally, I was going to marry George, but I just changed my mind. Remember, change one's mind means change your decision. So she wanted to marry George, but at the end of the day, she says, no, I cannot marry you, so I am not gonna marry you. This is changing one's mind or decision. Now let's read this conversation between two people discussing a regret about the past. What is regret? Regret is something that you feel sorry about it. Specifically, you do something and after some years you feel sorry about it. The opposite version is also possible. If you didn't do something, after a few years you said, oh, I should have done that, but I didn't, unfortunately. That is also regret. You feel sorry about doing or not doing something. I should have married Stephen. We talked about I should have. I should have, I could have, I might have, I must have, plus third format, PP, past participle, okay? It's a kind of situation in the past that you had the chance, you had the ability, but you didn't do it. I should have married Stephen means I could marry Stephen, but I didn't. Why? Why do you think that? Why do you think so? Why? Well, I might have had children by now. Why? Because she doesn't have any children, so she is regretful. She said that if I married Stephen, I would have children by now. B says, could be, yes, you're right, but you never know. You might not have been happy. Maybe you might have had children, but who knows? Maybe you wouldn't be happy. How can you know that? Yeah, true, you're right. Now let's talk about skills and abilities. These are called qualification, okay? Qualification is a kind of specific skill, knowledge, or any kind of experience, ability that you need in order to get a job. Now, let's talk about them. Talents, skills, experience, and knowledge. All of these elements, I think, are related to qualification. If you have these skills, you're highly qualified for that specific job. For example, talents. Talent, as you can see, talent is kind of ability, okay, that you have it when you were born, basically God-given talent, okay? The skill is, again, ability that you attempt, you try hard, and at the end of the day, you get that talent, you become skilled or skillful person. Experience means those years, the time that you spend doing that specific job. That is your experience. And finally, we have knowledge. If you know what you are doing, if you know what your job is, you're a knowledgeable person. Altogether, we can say if you are talented, if you have skills, if you have experience, and if you have knowledge, you are highly, highly qualified. What do you think? Unit 7. Let's talk about this conversation about holiday traditions. Basma and Mika are talking. Basma says, "Wow, that dress your sister is wearing is gorgeous. What was the occasion?" Basma says, most probably they are looking at the picture, and Basma says, "Okay, the dress that your sister is wearing is gorgeous." Gorgeous means beautiful. Okay, extremely beautiful. What was the occasion? Occasion means event. What was the activity? What was there any kind of ceremony or whatnot? Mika says, "Oh, that was for Chuseok. The dress is called a hanbok. Chuseok is a kind of traditional Korean festival." All right. And the dress is called a hanbok. Hanbok is the proper name, the name of the dress in Korea, for example. Basma says, "Did you say Chuseok? What's that? A holiday? What is it?" Mika says, "Yeah, that's right. It is a holiday. It is a traditional Korean holiday. It takes place in September or October each year to celebrate the harvest." Take place means happen, occur. It occurs every year or annually, okay, in September or October every year to celebrate, to have fun, to have party. What is harvest? When the farmer basically collects the crops or fruits or plants, that is called harvesting season and harvest. Basma says, "So does everyone dress up like that?" Dress up means to wear formally, okay, and officially. Does everybody dress up formally? Not everyone dresses up in that basically specific dress. So what else does everyone or everybody do on Chuseok? What other activities do people do? We get together with our relatives and we eat a lot. Get together means join each other, and maybe we go to our homes, okay? And with relatives. Who are relatives? Relatives are those close family, we can say. And we eat a lot. We eat a lot. Basma continues, "Well, that sounds nice. That sounds cool." Mika says, "Not only that, it is not the only activity that people do, but we go to our hometowns and visit the graves of our ancestors." So we go to hometowns, our city or town, and visit the grave. What is grave? Grave is the tomb, is the place that dead person is buried inside. Graves of our ancestors. What is ancestor? Grandparents. Correct? Grandparents or father, mother, let's say. Basma says, "So I suppose the airports and train stations are mobbed with people, right?" Suppose means imagine, I think, assume. Airports and train stations, maybe metro stations and any kind of stations, are mobbed with people. Mob has different meanings. Number one, if there are lots of people who are protesting against government or against some issues in the society, that is called mob. Okay? Here, stations are mobbed with people. It means that stations are so crowded, a lot of people are gathering and waiting like a tree. As I mentioned before, people are like tree, waiting for the bus to come, waiting for the train to come. Very busy, let's say very busy condition. Totally right. You are totally correct. And the traffic is impossible. Traffic is impossible means you cannot move. Very heavy traffic traffic jam, we can call. It takes hours to get anywhere. You cannot go anywhere easily. Basma continues and says, I think every country's got at least one holiday like that. Every country has a kind of holiday like that, means similar to what you said. Mika says, what holiday comes to mind for you? What holiday do you remember when I talked about it? It reminds me of Eid al-Adha. Eid or Eid. Eid al-Adha is kind of sacrifice holiday, specifically for Muslims or in Islamic countries. There are some holidays that in those days people sacrifice some animals for the sake of God. That is called Eid al-Adha, let's say. A 4-day religious holiday we celebrate where I come from. They celebrate it, basically. In what way? In what way means how. How do you celebrate it? What activities do you do? What actions do you take? What is the procedure, let's say? Well, people put on their best clothes and we eat a ton of great food. What a beautiful word, huh? A ton of. And instead of saying a lot of, you can say a ton of. We eat a ton of food. We get dressed with our best, cleanest, and newest, clothes. We also travel to be with our relatives and visit the graves of our loved ones who have died. The same scenario, there are some people who died, so we visit the graves and we pray, we say something in order to remember them, remember their soul, I don't know, maybe. It's a kind of believing system. Our loved ones, those people who we love them, but unfortunately, they are not with us anymore, they have died. How about that? Means I love it. What a surprising scenario you mentioned. Sounds just like our holiday. Generally, I think holidays look alike. Holidays are so similar to one another in my point of view. It depends on. It doesn't matter where you are from. It doesn't matter what your religion or your believing system is. Generally, the holidays are so similar. What happens? People get together. There's a communication, interaction. They eat, drink, dance, celebrate. Eating and drinking are basically really important, and you can find them everywhere in the whole world. Now let's talk about this conversation. They're talking about the holiday. I heard there's going to be a holiday next week. I heard means somebody told me, or I heard it from somewhere that there is going to be a holiday next week. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're right. The Harvest Moon Festival. The Harvest Moon Festival is a proper name. Don't translate it. It's a kind of name of the holiday. What kind of holiday is that? Because we have different kinds or different types of holidays. It is a seasonal holiday. What is seasonal holiday? A kind of holiday which people celebrated every single season. For example, let's say if the seasonal holiday is in spring, every spring people come together and celebrate that specific holiday or festival. That is called a seasonal holiday. That takes place in autumn or fall. Okay? People spend time with their families and eat mooncakes. Mooncakes are specific, how can I say, not dessert, kind of bread, Chinese bread, a little bit sweet, which people eat them. Well, have a great Harvest Moon Festival. It's a kind of good wish, okay? Best wishes. Have a good Harvest Moon Festival. Thanks. Same to you means likewise. I wish you the same scenario. Different types of holidays like seasonal holiday, historical holiday, religious holiday, social holiday, cultural holiday, educational holiday maybe. These type of holidays. You can take a picture. Now let's move on. Different ways to commemorate a holiday. Commemorate means to remember in an official way. To remember someone or something in an official way. How? Set off fireworks, set off means start, fireworks. March means to walk systematically and harmonically in parades. Basically, the army soldiers the army or soldiers or police officers try to march on the street and people are watching them. Generally, on national holidays, armies or soldiers are marching in parades. Have picnics. It is very obvious. You go out basically to the nature and you celebrate it. You spend time with your family, actually. Next one is to pray. Pray here means to speak to God, to pray, maybe to ask your wishes. This is called pray. Send cards to one another. Give each other gifts. You give gifts to each other. I give you a gift, you give me a gift. So we both of us become happy. Next one, wish each other well. Yeah, this is cool. I mean, we do not say, God damn it, I wish you blah, blah, blah. Generally, we wish good things, even if we are not that much honest with them. But generally, culturally, it's a kind of social necessity that everybody tends to wish good things to other people. This is so normal. Remember the dead. Yeah, we talked about it. You go to the grave or tomb, and then you pray. You basically try to remember the dead person. Wear costumes, specifically in Halloween party. What happens? People wear different costumes to have fun, to have a kind of colorful night. People surprise each other. People, I think, just get out of their comfort zone, and then they try to acculturate. They try to interact with each other in order to have fun and to remember those. All of these festivals, I think, should have something in common, which means we have to have something that we can remember them in the future, in my opinion. So all of these interactions with different people on different occasions, in my opinion, can be really colorful, and we can say, oh, I have something to tell in the future. Another conversation about local customs. Custom means rules, regulations, law, like that. Do you mind if I ask you about something? Means, can I ask you something? Very polite way. Do you mind if I ask you? It's very polite. Of course not. Of course it is. There is no problem. Mine is a problem here, which means that, is there any problem if I ask you a question? Of course not. Of course there is no problem. What's up? What's news? I'm not sure about the customs here, so I have a question. If someone invites you for dinner or for lunch, should you bring the host a gift? Good question. In that specific country, if somebody invites you for a lunch, for dinner, so should you bring the host or hostess a gift? It's a good question, a cultural question. Yeah, it is a good idea. But the gift that you bring should be inexpensive. Inexpensive means not cheap, not expensive, something between. Would it be appropriate to bring flowers? Appropriate means suitable, okay. Which means that, is it okay to bring flowers? To take flowers with yourself? Definitely, yeah, good idea, yes. Flowers are good idea to take with yourself to that person. Thanks, that's really helpful. You helped me a lot. Thanks a million. Next, getting married. Now let's talk about the events. There are different events in different countries. Let's go through them. An engagement, there's a ring. Okay, when you wear that ring, put on that ring, what happens? You promise to your spouse. Spouse means your fiance generally. Fiance, the people. Fiance with one E is man, with two E is a woman. So you promised your fiance to get married in the future. This is called engagement. And the ceremony is called, for example, to get engaged. Okay, to get engaged first. So to get engaged is first. Second is to get married. And game is over. A marriage ceremony, or get married, have a wedding party. Okay, so how can you celebrate? They call it wedding, you know it. wedding is very general everywhere in the whole world. There is kinda wedding party, but reception, I think we don't have reception in these countries in Middle East. Reception is a very formal party or celebration or ceremony, so to speak, which is being held after the wedding. Imagine today is wedding, tomorrow is reception. And in the reception is basically you are inviting very, very close people, close relatives, close friends. Honeymoon is really interesting. Honeymoon. Honey means sweet. Moon here means month. I don't want to go through that story. So a month which is sweet. What happens after getting married, after the reception, you go on a holiday with your spouse for a month. You have a kind of sweet month. You have fun. The people, fiance, I talked about it. Bride is the woman, groom is the man who are getting married. Newlyweds, these two people, man and woman, have just got married recently, newly. That's why they call it newlyweds. Now, the bride throws the bucket. Bucket means the group of collection of flowers. After the wedding ceremony, throws that. The woman who catches the bucket is believed to be the next to get married. Kinda, believing system. Or maybe superstition, I don't know, cultural things. Ladies stuff, generally. The newlyweds cut the cake together at the wedding reception. They cut the cake together and they are super happy. The groom carries the bride across the threshold. Threshold is imaginary gate, okay, through the doorway to their new home. Soon after the wedding, they go on their honeymoon. So it's the kind of imaginary gate, which means that they go through the new life to the new house together. Unit 8. Inventions and discoveries. Invention basically is a kind of creation of a kind of machine. Discovery is kind of finding out something. Understand? For example, invention of the wheel, invention of the steam locomotives, invention of the mosquito net, invention of automobile, invention of television, invention of telephone, but discovery of penicillin. Understand what happened? Another story. Leslie and Judy, they talk about these inventions. Leslie starts. This itching is driving me crazy. Itching means the feeling that you want to scratch. This is scratching. I'm scratching my hand. But the feeling that I have to scratch it is itching. I can say my hand is itching. So this itching is driving me crazy. Beautiful expression. Drive somebody crazy. It means that it makes me angry. It makes me mad. Okay? Jody says, what? Look at your arm. Are those mosquito bites? Mosquito bite. As you can tell, mosquito bites. Yeah, Ben and I got eaten alive last week. Got eaten alive. This is kind of exaggeration, of course. Why? What happened to you? We went away for a second honeymoon at this cute little bed and breakfast in the mountains, but the mosquitoes were brutal. So what happened? Leslie and her husband went away means to leave the town to go on a holiday where for a second honeymoon. First honeymoon, second honeymoon. Okay? At this cute, lovely little bed and breakfast hotel in the mountains, but the mosquitoes were brutal. Brutal means merciless. They didn't show any mercy. They were so violent and so severe and harsh. Jody says, that doesn't sound very romantic because of the mosquitoes. Didn't they have screens in the windows? A screen? This is a screen. As you can tell, very old traditional way to eliminate mosquitoes or to avoid mosquitoes' penetration into that room or house. Well, they did, but ours had a big hole. Hole here means opening. And we didn't realize it until the middle of the night. But when they realized it, The damage has already done. Understand? What a nightmare. What a terrible experience. Nightmare is a scary dream. Dream basically is sweet. But what a nightmare is, god damn it, what a terrible experience. What a terrible memory that I have. Jody says, too bad you didn't bring any insect repellent. There are tons of mosquitoes in the mountains this time of the year. Hello or good morning. You know, insect repellent is a kind of chemical material which can kill the insect in order to avoid insects' penetration to the house or insects' entrance to the house or the room, as you can tell in the picture. Leslie says, we actually did have some insect repellent, but it just didn't work that well. It wasn't effective enough. You know how Ben is. You know, Ben is Leslie's husband. You know how Ben is, you know, the character. Everything has to be organic and natural. But insect repellent is not natural, is not organic, so Ben is not in favor of using insect repellent. That's why. Jody says, well, with all due respect to Ben, what a beautiful expression. With all due respect to somebody. There's a very polite way, that super polite way, to disagree with someone without breaking that person's heart. If you don't want to break anybody's heart, but at the same time you disagree with them, you can use this expression. With all due respect to someone. To Ben, hold on a second. You just have to bite the bullet once in a while and use the stuff that works. Bite the bullet. Where is it? Bite the bullet. Bite the bullet is a kind of situation, a hard situation in your life. And in order to eliminate that situation, generally people use cheapest way to eliminate that terrible situation temporarily, not forever. But if you bite the bullet, if you try to spend much more money, if you try to do your best to eliminate that problem, you bite the bullet, you suffer a little bit, but you eliminate the problem forever. Understand? Bite the bullet. Amazing expression. You need to bite the bullet once in a while. Very beautiful. Once in a while means sometimes. Okay, from time to time. And use the stuff, the things that works. That, you know, is effective. Whether you like it or not, the poison is effective. I don't care about Ben's opinion, but the poison is effective. Try to use that poison. Try to use that insect repellent. Leslie said, I agree, but Ben won't hear of it. Ben doesn't listen to that. You know, next time we go away for a romantic weekend, I am packing one of those mosquito nets. Where is it? This one. Mosquito nets. And hang over the bed. You know, hang. This is the bed. Okay, this is the bed. You hang the net from this point over the bed and hang it or mount it to that point. Okay, then you hang it over the bed. Understand? Very good. Next, let's talk about describing manufactured products. Manufactured means produced. Okay, those products which were produced in a factory. How can we describe them? So if you want to use new technology, if you want to talk about the usage of the technology, you can say high-tech, state-of-the-art, cutting edge. These are beautiful, beautiful expressions. If you want to talk about the high quality of the product, you can say high-end, top of the line, first rate. If you want to talk about the new idea which comes with this new, let's say, technological device, you can say innovative or innovative, revolutionary, and novel. Beautiful expressions to remember. Understand? You can take a picture. I don't want to spend lots of time here. Everything is clear. Everything is crystal clear, by the way. Now let's go forward and talk about this conversation. I just They talk about new technology. I just got a new car. No kidding. What kind? No kidding means very surprising. I mean, are you joking? Are you serious? What kind? The Alpha 500, as you can see in the picture. The 500 model is top of the line those days, basically, not anymore. I thought I treat myself. Beautiful expression, to treat oneself. Imagine you did something really good in your life and you want to make yourself happy. In that case, you reward yourself, you give a gift to yourself. In other words, you can say, I treat myself. For example, let's say, this is just an example, if I pass my English test tomorrow, I would treat myself by buying myself a bar of chocolate. Can be. That chocolate is a gift to you, to yourself, because of a very difficult thing that you did successfully. Understand? You reward yourself, you treat yourself. Beautiful expression. Well, congratulations means I'm happy for you. Happy to hear that. If I had the money, I'd get a new car myself. What type of conditional sentence is that? If I had the money, I'd get a new car myself. Conditional type 2. Now let's talk about another conversation. Taking responsibility for a mistake. Take responsibility means you accept your mistake and say, okay, yeah, it was my fault. Sorry for that. I took my responsibility. A and B. A says, sorry I am late. I thought the meeting was tomorrow. I made a mistake and I am late. Why? What happened? Why are you saying so? I am ashamed to say I just forgot to put it on my calendar. I am ashamed to say means I cannot look into your eyes. I am totally sorry about it. I am so ashamed. This is a kind of awkward situation in my life. Why? Because I forgot to put it. To put what? To put the date into my calendar. Don't worry. That's okay. That can happen to anyone. You're a human being. I am a human being. So it is normal. Well, if I had written it down, I wouldn't have forgotten. Conditional type 3. If I had written it down, I wouldn't have forgotten. Impossible situation. The damage is done. So this is just the saying. No harm done. No harm done means that's okay. Don't worry too much. We were just getting started. Get started means to start, to begin. But get started, they go together. The word get doesn't have any specific meaning. They go together. Get started means to start, to initiate. Get the ball rolling as another idiom, to get the ball rolling. The person would say, we were just getting the ball rolling. More descriptive adjectives, let's talk about them. Low tech, low in technology. High tech, high in technology. As you can tell, the first one, the carriage, is low tech, long time ago. The second one, the beautiful car, is the high tech. Is that a Bugatti or whatnot? Wacky. Wacky means strange, odd, unusual, weird. Understand? This sometimes it is very funny to wear such wacky glasses, specifically if you go to the beach. You wanna just how can I say, be funny at the seaside. Unique means sameless. There is only one thing like that. Unique idea, unique place, unique person. Finally, we have efficient or inefficient. Efficient means enough, deserved. Inefficient means not enough or not deserved. Very simple. Get it? Cool. Unit 9. Let's talk about politics. Political terminology. What is terminology? Terminology is a kind of word which is basically being used in a specific field of study. Here we are talking about politics. For example, you know most of them, but very quickly, a government is a kind of ruling system. And then we have politics, obviously, the way that the government is basically behaving inside and outside. A constitution is a written plan of the government, set of rules inside the government, inside the country, obviously. election, people go and vote. Vote means to select their desired candidate in order to, because they want that person to become their next president. Voting, campaign. Imagine we have two sides, right and left. Right wing, left wing, they have campaign. What happens? They propagate themselves, they advertise themselves, they invite people to vote for them. This is campaign, political campaign. Democracy. Democracy means free, not freedom, basically, a kind of government ruled by people. Yeah. Monarchy, a kind of king and queen stuff, a kind of government which is ruled by king and queen. Next one, dictatorship. Opposite of democracy is dictatorship. The leader of the country dictates people to do what they want. So they're generally force people to behave as they wish. This is called dictator and dictatorship. Finally, we have constitutional monarchy. Constitutional monarchy is a kind of system which is half constitutional and half king and queen rule, okay, government, this kind of stuff. Let's talk about this conversation. Sanshi and Sam are talking. Sanshi says, so what are you up to these days, Sam? What are you up to means what are your plan? What are you doing these days, right? Hi, Sanshi, what a coincidence, what a surprising happening. You surprised me being here in this, let's say, gathering, whatever. I have been meaning to give you a call. I have been meaning, to mean means if you want to do something. I have been meaning to give you a call. It means that I wanted to call you. What a lie. I need some cultural advice. Please help me with that. Yeah, what about? Or about what? What do you want to know? Well, I am having dinner at Mei Li's house tonight, and her parents are in from Taiwan. Okay. Really? Yeah. Means yeah. And you know how much I love to talk about politics. Would it be rude to bring that up at the dinner table? Rude means impolite. To bring, yes, dinner table. Bring something up means to start the conversation, to talk about a specific topic. Sanshi says, well, not really. Most people from Taiwan like to talk about politics too. Okay, good news. But the bad news is it would not be cool, it would not be okay, nice to argue with them if you don't agree with what they say. Understand? It means that if you have different opinions politically, then there would be a kind of misunderstanding, a kind of fight, a kind of big chaos. So avoid it. Avoid talking about politics. Sam says, how well you know me. You know me very well, of course. I do tend to be a little bit opinionated. Pay attention to the pronunciation. Opinionated. Opinionated. Opinionated person is a person who imposes his or her opinion on other people. Understand? If you say this is black, they say no, it is white. This is white and this is white. You say no, this is black. Of course it is not. This is white. So this is kind of opinionated person. Well, in that case, in that scenario, in that situation, I would advise you, or I'd advise you to talk about something else. Do not talk about politics. Do you want to have a headache? Please, you don't want to. Take a picture, then go to next slide. Let's talk about a kind of system, a continuum of political and social belief. A continuum means a kind of gradual change of the system, okay? Of course, controversial is kind of topic which you can speak about it. You can look at the topic from different angles, from different perspectives, okay? As I said, continuum is a kind of gradual, slow change for the system. A continuum of political and social beliefs, kind of change of believing system or political system throughout the years, let's say. So I am not a political person. I am not a politician, but let's just read them. A radical is a person. Hold on a second. Let me share all of these things first. Okay. A radical is a person who is supporting complete political or social change. Completely supporting social or political change. A liberal is supporting changes in political, social, or religious system that respect the different beliefs, ideas, or etc. of other people. So liberal, they are free in decisions, but they respect to other people's choices and believing systems. Moderate is normal, is how can I say, in the middle, having opinions or beliefs, especially or specifically about politics, that are not extreme, not too much. Extreme means too much, and that most people consider reasonable or sensible. Reasonable means logical, which is okay or fair. Okay, fair, middle, not too much, not too less, not too high, not too low. Conservative is a person who is preferring to continue to do things as they have been done in the past rather than risking changes. They don't want any change, okay? They just want to stick with the believing system or political system forever. No single or simple change. Whatever it was, they are happy with that. They want to stick with it and continue with that political situation. That is called a conservative. Finally, reactionary. Reactionary is a kind of person who is strongly opposed, means against, to political or social changes. They have a strong reaction. They are reactionary, okay? They go crazy, they go angry and sad, so they are not really happy. Let's talk about this conversation, a useful one. They talk about politics again. Do you mind if I ask you a political question? I hope it is not too personal. A good question. If you're not sure of your partner's decision, or, political things are so sensitive things, and people do not tend to talk about politics because they don't want to have headaches. That's why. Because of that, if you want to start a conversation with a stranger, it is better to ask whether the stranger, I mean the person who you are talking to, is okay with this question or not. How to ask such a question? This is the perfect question that you can use. Do you mind if I ask you a political question? Can I ask you a political question? I hope it's not too personal. It means that if this political question is not too personal for you, maybe I can ask, right? B says, no problem. What would you like to know? Please go ahead and ask your question. Well, are you a liberal or a conservative? Which one? Actually, I am neither, or neither means none of them. I am not any one of them. I like to make up my mind based on the issue. Issue means situation or problem or topic, let's say, okay? Based on the situation in the society, I try to make a decision. This is his perspective, his methodology. So based on means related to that, okay, according to that thing. So would you say you are an independent, a kind of independent person, independent thinker maybe? I guess you could say that. Yeah, I am an independent person. I don't follow any political issues. I have my own methodology. I have my own reasons. So I try to make up my mind based on that specific situation. This is one of the situations that, let's say, your partner, the person who you are talking to, is okay with this, with such, topic. But on the other hand, if the person is not okay with it, he or she might say, no offense, but I feel a little uncomfortable talking about politics. I hope you don't mind. You know what? Here is a very beautiful example of politely rejecting of talking about politics. I hope you don't mind. I hope it is not a problem for you. Absolutely not. Of course not. It's a good thing I ask. Yeah, I mean, definitely ask questions if you talk to strangers, because there might be a kind of misunderstanding all the time. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't, but asking is really a cool technique. Now, introducing sticky question. Sticky questions are so sensitive questions, tricky questions. You have to be careful by asking such questions. For example, It might be a little personal. It might be a little touchy. Touchy means sensitive. It might be a little bit controversial, means, debatable. We can have different perspectives. So, which means that we don't have one specific answer, one specific point of view. We have different types of point of views when we talk about that specific topic. Inappropriate means not okay, which means that is not a good idea to talk about that. Let's go forward. Discuss controversial issue politely. Very, very important slide. Don't forget that. They talk about controversial issue. A and B. A. How do you feel about capital punishment? Do you know capital punishment? Capital means big. Big punishment. What is the biggest punishment? Death penalty. If you kill someone to impose the punishment, that is death penalty or capital punishment. These are synonyms. I am in favor of it. If you are in favor of something, you are supporting that thing. Beautiful expression. I am in favor of that. It means that I support that thing. I believe if you kill someone, you deserve to be killed. You must be killed. What about you? What is your opinion? Actually, I am against the death penalty. I am against that. I am not in favor of death penalty. I think it's wrong to take a life, no matter what. So, this topic is really interesting topic because everybody has different perspective. We cannot say A is right. We cannot say B is right. Both of them are somehow right. So we have different perspectives. That's why we call it a kind of controversial topic. Well, I guess we'll have to agree to disagree. What a beautiful expression. We'll have to agree to disagree. It means that you have your own opinion. I have my own opinion. I don't want to break your heart. Please don't break my heart. So we have different opinions. We are friends, but we have different opinions. Now, we have two different things. Agreement, disagreement. I'm not going to talk about them because they're in one category. Try to change the way that you are using English. For example, instead of saying, I agree with you, you can say, I agree with you on that one. I couldn't agree more. It means that we are 100% thinking the same way. I couldn't have said it better myself. What a beautiful expression, huh? Memorize it. I couldn't have said it better myself. It means that I totally agree with you. Finally, that's exactly what I think. That is exactly what I think. Finally, we have disagreement. Choose one of them. I guess we'll have to agree to disagree. Beautiful, really beautiful. Or you can say, really? I have to disagree with you there. No, we have different opinions. Do you think so? I'm not sure I agree. Well, I'm afraid I don't agree. Or no offense, but I just can't agree. These are beautiful, beautiful expressions that you can remember, you can memorize, and keep using them in order to decorate your English, in order to show off your English level. Some controversial issues means debatable issues. Censorship of books and movies. You know, censorship means to edit, to cut specific parts of the movie or a book and try to shape the movie, shape the book as you wish. Generally, dictators do that inside the societies. Compulsory military service. Compulsory means a must, a kind of military service, which is a must. Mandatory is a kind of synonym. Means everybody must do their military service. Lowering means, going down, lowering the driving age, decreasing the driving age from 18 to maybe 16. I don't know. Next one, raising the voting age means going up, raising the voting age. Prohibiting smoking indoors. Indoor means inside the building. All of these things are controversial. You can say, yes, I agree, or I disagree. And both of us, you can say, I agree, I say, I disagree. So both of us are right. We cannot say only one person is correct. So these are controversial issues to be remembered. How to debate an issue politely. Very beautiful. Very beautiful. Two people talking about one issue, one specific topic. One person has different idea, the other person has different idea, but they are not fighting. They are talking to each other politely in a friendly manner. For example, I think smoking is a disgusting habit. Possible, yes, she is correct. She says, that may be true, but if you only smoke in your own house, you're not hurting anyone but yourself. Different idea. Yes, okay. I think more people should be active in politics. That way, we would have better governments. Yes, possible. I see what you mean, but it's not realistic to expect everyone to care. Yeah, possible. Number 3, I think our president is doing an excellent job. Yeah. The other person says, well, on the one hand, he is not corrupt. He is okay. But on the other hand, he hasn't done much to improve the country. Good. Number 4, I think we should just vote against everyone who is in office now. That's a good way to get change. Possible. And his friend says, that's one way to look at it. Yes, one perspective, one way, one angle. But how do we know inexperienced candidates will be any better than what we already have? These are really controversial things. Both of the sides are somehow right, somehow correct. So we cannot say only one of them is right. Both of them are right. So these are called controversial topics. So remember, when you debate with someone, you can use these blue sentences like, that may be true, but. I see what you mean, but. Well, on the one hand, blah, 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 blah. But on the other hand, blah, 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 blah. Or that's one way to look at it, but. Get it? Unit 10. Geographical features. Features means characteristics or attributes. Let me show these words with pictures. A gulf, a bay, a lake, an ocean, a sea, a volcano, a mountain range, and national park. Let's talk about this conversation. Max and Frank are talking. Max says, have you folk been here long? Folk means people. It means that, have you guys been here in this hotel for a long time? Frank says, a little over a week. A little bit more than a week. Unfortunately, we have only got 2 days left. You? It means that, unluckily, misfortunately. Only 2 days. After 2 days, we need to leave the hotel. What about you? You know, we just got here yesterday, actually, so this is kind of new. We are just arrived. Frank says, I'm Frank, by the way. I'm Frank, by the way. Frank Liu from Hong Kong. Max says, Max Belli from Labro, Italy. Have you heard of it? Have you heard Labro in Italy? I can't say I have means no, unfortunately, I haven't heard. Max says it's very small town about 20 kilometers north of Rome. North of Rome, 20 kilometers. This is Rome. You have to go 20 kilometers to the north. Then you can find Labro in Italy. Max says, hey, you wouldn't happen to know anything about the La Fortuna waterfall, would you? Happen to means possibly. You wouldn't possibly know anything about the La Fortuna waterfall, would you? Do you know? We plan on driving up there this weekend. It means that we have a plan to drive with a car up to the mountain. Actually, we just got back from there yesterday, which means that we visited that area. We have experience, and I can share our experience with you. Oh, what a coincidence. Was it worth seeing? What a coincidence means what a surprise, obviously. Worth means value. So if somebody says, was it worth seeing? It means that, do you recommend it or you don't recommend it? Frank says, spectacular. You cannot imagine it. Spectacular means beautiful, amazing, impressive. You don't want to miss it. Definitely go and visit. Definitely. Frank says, but be sure to take it slow on the path down the bottom of the falls. Be sure to drive very slowly. Where? On the path means way. On the way down the bottom of the falls, because it is slippery. It is getting wet. It can get pretty wet and slippery. Slippery means if you cannot have the control of yourself, you might fall because of the wet area. Max says, thanks for the warning. Thank you so much. What if we want to get a look at the Arenal volcano too? Is it possible? Do you think that is doable in 2 days? Doable. Able means can. Doable, we can do it. Edible, we can eat it. Drinkable, we can drink it. Printable, it can be printed. Playable, listenable, watchable, readable. You know, what a beautiful tip that you learned right now. Do you think that is doable in 2 days? It means that, do you think that we can do it? We can manage successfully. We can manage visiting those areas in 2 days. Is it possible? No problem. The volcano is only about 20 minutes west of the La Fortuna by car. Only 20 minutes. So I'm sure you could handle them both. You could handle means manage. You can manage them both. Understand? Cool. Now let's talk about directions in American English and direction in British English. So north, south, east, west, northeast, northwest, okay? Southeast, southwest. These are basically different directions that you might need when you want to travel somewhere unknown, uncharted, unknown. Now let's talk about this conversation. They're talking about, again, a geographical location. A and B. A. Where exactly is the temple located? Where is it? Located means based. Where is the specific place or location of this temple? About 15 kilometers north of Kyoto, or Kyoto, I don't know how to pronounce it. Are you planning to go there? Do you have any plan to go there? Yeah, you know, I've been thinking about it. It means that it happened a couple of days ago, maybe some time ago, and I am still thinking of that. So I really want to visit. I really want to go and visit. It's a must-see. Be sure to take pictures. Do not come back without any pictures, okay? It is a must-see. Means you must visit it. You must see it. Understand what am I talking about? Now let's talk about recommendations and criticism. Recommendations, you can say it's a must-see, or you don't want to miss it. Criticism, when you don't like the area, you don't like the place or museum or the, I don't know, shopping center or whatnot, you can say, you know, it is overrated. People say that is a beautiful place, but in reality, it is not. So it is kind of overrated. What is the opposite of overrated? Underrated. Okay, the opposite one is a kind of beautiful place, but people comment negatively. But in reality, the place is very beautiful. In that scenario, that place is underrated. Or it's a waste of time. Don't go there. Don't waste your time. So recommendation for positive, criticism for negative. Okay. Describing possible risks. It can be quite dangerous. Firstly, quiet, very, extremely, so, pretty, terribly, really. These are intensifiers. Don't you remember? These are intensifiers. It could be quiet, dangerous, or very, You can use all of these intensifiers interchangeably. No big deal. It can be very rocky. It can be extremely steep. Steep means very high. Rocky means full of rock and stone. It can be so slippery, means wet. It can be pretty dark and scary, basically. It can be terribly exhausting. Terribly is a kind of negative intensifier, so exhausting is also a negative. So it is better to use a kind of negative intensifier with this word. So it is better to use a negative intensifier with a negative adjective, right? So it can be terribly exhausting, means very tiring. It can be really foggy, means full of fog. What is fog? When the cloud comes down in a way that you can see it or maybe touch it, that is called foggy, which means that you cannot easily see your, how can I say, ahead of you clearly. You cannot. Now, some places, as you can see in the picture, a path means a way. A cliff is that part of the mountain which is so dangerous, and that is the dead end. You cannot go forward. If you go, you are basically falling off. A cave is a basically opening in the mountain that you can get into, or you can see some strange things or specific things, maybe bats you can see, those kind of stuff. Let me share all of these vocabulary again. I forgot to share because they are basically distracting me as a teacher, but they are really useful for you as a student. Now let's talk about dangerous animals and insects. First, watch out for snakes means be careful. Watch out. Watch out means be careful. And keep an eye out for bears means, again, be careful about bears because they are dangerous. So snake, shark, jellyfish, bear. It is not beer, okay? It is bear. And scorpion and also mosquito. These are dangerous animals or insects. You can take a picture. Now let's talk about this conversation. Someone is warning about a risk. Hey, excuse me, pardon me. I beg your pardon. Can you tell me the way to the beach? How can I go to the beach? That way. It's not very far. It is not very far. It is very close. It means that you can walk there. Thanks. Is it safe to go swimming there? Is it safe? What do you think? Sure, but be careful. A little bit careful, yes. Why? Because there is sometimes an undertow inside that sea. What is undertow? Undertow is a kind of hidden movement. You look at the sea, you see, okay, the sea is so calm and relaxed. You jump into, but there's a kind of energy, there's a kind of flow, okay, in the sea. That thing can take you in. So this is a little bit dangerous, specifically for kids. Really? Well, it is too dangerous for children to go swimming there. But for you, I am sure you're going to be all right. You're going to be fine. Thanks for the warning. I am so thankful. Okay? Now let's talk about how to describe natural world. First, geographic nouns, then geographic adjectives. Everything is clear. A forest, a jungle. Okay? A valley, a canyon, an island, a glacier. These are nouns that you have to remember. Geographic adjectives, mountainous. For example, you can say the area is mountainous, which means that it is covered by mountains, lots of mountains there. Hilly, like small mountain, lots of hills, hilly. Flat, plain, nothing, you can find nothing there. Dry or arid, it is totally dry. It is not wet, there is no raining, there is no precipitation. Lush or green, they're the same. Greeny area, jungle, forest, these are lush or green, okay? Now, let's talk about strong positive adjectives. The scenery was breathtaking. What a beautiful sentence. The scenery means the beautiful area was breathtaking. You are feeling really great there. The views were spectacular, means extremely impressive. The sights were extraordinary. means unbelievable. You cannot believe it. Understand what happened? Understand? Great. Ways to talk about the environment. Okay. The environment. What is environment? The surrounding, the area, the atmosphere, the place that we live in. This is our environment. Pollution means dirt. Any kind of mess, any kind of dirt that human beings are basically making. We are making a lot of mess. Power generally means electricity, but of course you can use it for maybe gas or water sometimes. It depends. Different forces generally for electricity. Renewable energy, the kind of energy that you can renew it. You can renew that energy again. And energy efficient, it saves up some energy. You don't have spent the whole energy. You spent a little bit of the energy, but you have the exactly the same or maybe sometimes better results. That is energy efficient. We have increase and decrease as a verb. Increase means to become large in amount. To decrease means to become smaller in amount. Okay? So once again, let me just read very quickly. An environment is the air, water, and land in which people, animals, and plants live. I talked about it. Pollution, the act of causing air, water, or land to become dirty and unhealthy for people, plants, and animals. Power, electricity or other force that can be used to make machines, cars, etc. work. This is power, basically the energy. Renewable energy is a power for heat and machines, such as wind power or solar power from the sun, that can be reused and never run out. Run out means finish. Energy efficient uses as little power as possible. As I mentioned, you use a little bit of the energy, but you don't have to basically use or waste the whole energy, but you are getting exactly the same result. Very good. Increase, to become large in amount, an increase in temperature, for example, this is a kind of noun. Decrease, to become smaller in amount, for example, a decrease in pollution. Very good. Unit 10 finished. Thank you guys for watching. I hope it was useful. It took a lot of time of mine to create this course specifically for you guys. So try to support me by liking, by commenting, by watching the video, by watching the advertisements completely. So this is the only way that you can support me. Until next level, which is going to be C1 level, live long and prosper. Take care. Bye.